This is Pens Down. On this show, we call it Pens Down because the tool of the journalist is the pen. And here we get them to drop it. So we call it Pens Down. This is where we get the news reporters and news presenters to become newsmakers. The tables are turned here. Because here we bring you all the behind the scenes issues. The things that ordinarily the news reporting principles will not allow journalists to put in, they open up and tell it all on this platform. Today, we are traveling to Asia and to one of the most populated countries in the world, India. That is where I'm touching base with a colleague there who is also a journalist. She's been in the profession for almost a decade. She is a freelance journalist and then the co-founder of the Stage Media Liberia. Hannah and Geterminah is my guest on PENSDOWN today. Thanks for joining me and welcome.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Right. Happy New Year to you.
And I wish you many happy returns.
Did you spend the New Year in India or you went after the New Year?
I spent the New Year here.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
I have been here for quite a while now. I'm studying. I'm reading bachelor's in media and mass communication at the Graphic Era Hill University. So I have been here since 2021.
Wow. That means you've spent several New Years in a foreign land.
Yes, I spent several New Year here. So I came to get my bachelor.
Okay, great. Now let's take you back to the beginning. How did Hannah discover that, okay, journalism was what I want to do while she was growing up?
So when I was growing up as a kid, my parents, I'm from a low-income family, so my parents cannot afford, they are in the village. So I had to leave my family to go to the city because my parents always wanted me to go to school.
Okay.
So I went to my father's cousin. I was living there and then while going to school, but then I was in high school. But then I have been someone who I talk a lot.
Okay.
And I'm always into people things. I want to know everything. So that is how I have been since I was a child. So I did not know that I wanted to be a journalist or I'm going to be a journalist. But what I did know was there was nothing you could do to me that I was not going to talk. So once it is negative, I'm going to tell you that you don't treat me like that. You don't do that. So because of that, even when when an adult is treating another kid bad, I'm going to talk. So I was always known as the Murphy person. That is how we call it in Liberia. You are Murphy. So it was like that until when I reached around 14 years.
Okay.
And then I have not even discovered myself yet. I don't know what I want to be. So I had a situation where a cousin of mine and I got into an issue like sexual violence or so. Okay. So that is another whole story for another day.
That's fine.
So when he called me out because he wanted to convince me to have a relationship with me and as a family member. So I had my phone. I put my phone on recording. I started to record him.
Wow.
So when I did the recording,
that was investigative journalism.
Yes, that was investigative journalism. But then I didn't even know that I want to be a journalist.
Right.
So after I did that, I played the recording to his wife, and then it became a major issue in the family. You know, everyone turned to me that I did wrong. I shouldn't have done that. And it was like that. And I was like, I did right. Because I'm a kid, he should treat me like a child. So it was them versus me. So when I went to high school, like around the 10th grade, there was a press club in my school. They opened a press club, so I decided to join the press club, still not knowing what I want to do.
Yes.
It was not like I want to be a journalist. It just like since they have the press club, let me join. So I was part of the press club. I started writing my stories. And one time, they selected me to read. When I went to read, I was so like anxious, or I don't know how to say, I don't know. I was happy to read. So I was just sitting waiting. So the guy who did the introduction, after he has introduced himself, he turned to me. As you are saying, my name is Hannah in Geterminah, but then I jumped straight into the news. That's in my view, high school. So I heard the whole crowd was like, whoa, like everyone just wow. So it was kind of embarrassing. And
Yes.
I was someone who, when I'm somewhere, everybody will know that I'm there. Everybody knows me. So it was kind of embarrassing. And so the next day we went to school, this thing we call Bude today, we used to call like joke. People will just tell you like they be making fun with it. So it was on a Friday. When I went home, I started thinking, how am I going to face the crowd the next Monday? So it was something that was challenging. But then I sat down, like Saturday, Sunday evening, I came to myself, I said, when I go to school, as soon as anybody want to say this, I'm going to jump into it, I'm going to say it myself. And that is how I'm going to kill the entire story. So as soon as I reach at the gate, I hear everybody, we are your presenter, and I left from the gate. I just responded. So everybody started making fun. So they thought that it was not something that would bother me anymore. So that was how it stopped. Since then, I did not go to read because, the news director, obviously he was disappointed. But then I was still around because I feel like, not because I made a mistake and then he's not giving me the chance, I will now go back. So I still used to go and write my story. So after graduation, in 2014, we had the outbreak of the Ebola. So I couldn't go to school, and then I had some issues. I had to travel back to my parents. After the Ebola outbreak, I went back to Morovia to start now living with myself on my own where I can do things at the age of 21. So, but then I discovered, I said, but I can be a journalist. Because I check everywhere, I don't see where I fit. I feel like I think I should tell people's story. Because as a child growing up, I went through a lot. And I feel that there was no one there to protect me. There was no one to speak for me. So I think I can tell other people's story. So, but then I couldn't afford to go to university. So I went to one new school open. It was opened by a journalist. His name was Stopa. He was a very big journalist by then. But then he opened a media school. It's 10 months hands-on training. So it was a little bit cheaper that I could afford, at least 10,000 per quarter. And they had 3 quarters. So I started attending. After 10 months, I got a diploma in journalism. So that was how I entered the field of journalism.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that that setback never became something that let you down. You kept fighting on despite the fact that, people were laughing, people were mocking and all that. It was quite a positive attitude, actually. And for the fact that you started fighting for the rights of people from a time you didn't know what you were doing.
Yes, wow. I didn't know what I was.
Maybe in future you should add law to it. What do you think? Has anybody told you that? Yes, maybe in future.
Yes, from the initial stage, I wanted to do law.
Okay.
That has been my field. Like I wanted to be a lawyer. But then in Liberia, you can now go to the law school without getting your first degree.
Okay.
So I couldn't go to the law school. So I decided now to become a journalist. That was how I went. After 10 months, I graduated, and then I entered into the field of journalism. But then when I entered into the field of journalism, I went straight to the print Because in Liberia, the print is more friendly than the radio. Because
Okay.
radio is widely listened to, and then people don't want to train people on the radio. They want you to already be made before they can put you on the radio. But then for the print, there are a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
So I went straight to the print media, and my first job lasted for 6 months.
Okay.
I went for 6 months, and I was told I was going to be paid $50, even though I didn't get a cent.
Wow.
Yes.
So you worked for free for 6 months?
Free for 6 months without getting a cent.
Wow.
But then at least it gave me the opportunity to step into the field. Because I'm a kind of person, as soon as I get somewhere, when I go to a press conference, I don't even know where I'm going. They just give me a recorder, they say, go into the field and then bring story. So when I went, my first news conference I attended, it was a friend of mine who called me, said, but they're having a program at my working place. So you can come and cover it. So imagine I am going there without getting proper invitation as a journalist, because I want to have a story. I don't want to sit where they're saying, oh, she's a female, or I feel like I'm new, so I cannot do anything. So I thought that whatever I do is what I will open the next door for me. So that was my thinking. So when I went to the press conference, I was confused. I don't know where to leave my recorder to record. I don't know how to take picture or where to stand. But then what I did first was, the first story I wrote, I put my editor under the impression that I could do better. So he trusted me. Because when I went to that job, he told me, go around you bring, just write anything you bring. So when he did that, I thought that that was a test. So I wrote about open defecation in the Omega area where they were relocating a major market.
Okay.
So I talked to people, but then I didn't know how to use the computer. So what I did, I sat at home that night and wrote my story with my hand. Put everything in order. So when I told the story to him, he read it. He said, you wrote this? I said, yes. He said, have you been a journalist before? I said, no. So he said, go and type. That was my trouble. I went and sat down to type 500 words. I spent the entire day typing 500 words.
You don't mean it. My goodness.
I don't mean it. Interestingly, after I got through typing, I pressed Control A. I didn't know I was deleting, and deleted the entire word. So press Control Z and bring it back. I don't know. I'm asking, like I saw some ladies, not knowing they were in the marketing department, just to go and look for advertisement. They don't know as well to help me. So I had to re-type the entire work again. So when I took it to him, he looked at the work and he told me, you can go. So I left. But then when I left, he told the people, he said, those that were in the office, he said, when she pay attention, she will be a very good writer. That was what he said I'm about. So the next day when I went back, I saw my story at the back page of the paper. Mind you, for a story to get on the back page, that's a very good story.
Oh, yes. Yes. In newspaper production, the front page, the middle pages, and the back page.
Is the major, and the back, they are also lead. So with that now, he had the confidence that I can do things. So it was not like much Collins. So he told me, go and bring story again. Because he has told me previously, go and bring story, I brought good story. So when I went, I was standing confused and then looking around. So I said, I will look around. Anyone I see taking recorder to a place, that means that is where they can record from. I will see that same person, wherever they take that picture, that is where I'm going to take my picture. So I was standing, luckily for me, I saw this guy. he walked to the speaker and then he was trying to set his recorder. So I had to walk to the speaker and set my recorder and lay it right there. So I spoke to him and told him that I am new in the field, but I would need some help. So he promised to help me. And then I gave him my number. That was how we started. So when I told the story, I wrote that particular story and it was published the following day. So that guy, now the guy I met, they call him Washington Wasi, he called me. I called him the next day. I asked him, what is the event in town today? He said the African Development Bank president is visiting President Salif at the executive mansion. But then it was President Eddie Johnson Salif who was the president.
Yes.
Now, how do I beat the security to enter when I don't have ID card?
That's right.
So he told me, you can be there. So I told him, I only have one issue, I don't have ID card. He said, but then you can't enter. So I told him I can enter. Because in my entire life, when you tell me I can't do this, that is the time I want to put in more to tell you that I can do it. So when I went, I met those securities. It was tight, you know, where the president stays.
That's right.
Tight.
Yeah.
It's tight to enter. So I was like, how can I talk to those guys? So the first thing I went, I started making fun. I just started making fun and everyone started laughing. So I'm like, I'm a new journalist and I need to enter to record today. So I will need your help. They said, no, it doesn't work like that. You don't enter here. So we were having the conversation. Right away, this guy I usually listen to on the radio. I heard he was entering and then he spoke. Then when he spoke, then they call his name. So I told him, I said, excuse me, can I talk to you? He said, what is it? So I showed him the newspaper from the story I wrote the previous day. I told him I'm a new journalist, I need help. So that was how he talked to them. I don't know. It was like really, really difficult, but because he's assigned there, so they allowed me to enter.
Wow.
When I went back to the newsroom, my boss asked me, what do you have? I said, the African Development Bank president visited President Salif at the mansion. He asked me, he said, you went to the mansion? I'm like, yes, I did. He said, you have the news story for tomorrow. So you have to work on it. So that was how I worked on it. And then it was so interesting. Before 6 months into the field, I was like someone who has spent like 4 or 5 years in the field. So I was like knowing everyone. And then the paper I was told it used to come out 3 times a week. I said, I cannot be the paper that comes out 3 times a week. So I'm looking for people that comes out daily because I want to be engaged. So I left.
Okay.
And
Now let's look at these years you've been in the field. Which particular assignment will you stand out as the most challenging for you?
There are 2 assignments I stand out as the most challenging assignments.
Right.
One, in 2019, a high school student she was writing her YX, so they went to camp. Because in Liberia, we had this thing where students stay together to study for the YX.
That's right.
But then we had YX, it was not WAX. So while they were there, they went to a club at the end of the test. So where she was staying, apparently somebody called her or whatsoever that happens, she went back. And the next day, it was her dead body that was in the hospital. They called her parents.
Oh.
So I started to, yes, that was so terrible. I started to investigate that story from the day she died and started to report. So the day the government wanted to conduct an autopsy on the body, the parents said no. They were bringing in their independent pathologists because they don't trust the government. The reason they don't trust the government, the Barry Giddens, where they get body what he thinks, he is a cousin to the vice president.
Okay.
Outgoing vice president now. So there was this issue of communication. The police were giving conflicting reports. Even the hospital where the girl died, the hospital were giving conflicting reports. And there were a whole lot of misunderstanding.
Yeah.
So when a family brought in their independent pathologist into the country, I had to disguise myself as a family member to enter the autopsy room.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Wow.
So I entered, but that was a challenging moment for me. I could see them cutting human being, like when you are cutting chicken.
Yes.
Like
yes.
cutting the parts. It's a whole terrible or horrible scene to be seen. Where they because they're looking for the cause of death. They open her whole chest, like they brought her womb, they brought her. Because the thing there is, the first medical report says she died from falling/sexual assault. So to establish that, they open the entire front where they brought the heart, the liver, they brought everything. Like they had to check to know whether anything was damaged. So nothing was damaged from within. So they had to check here, her head, because she had bleeding from her ear. So they had to put the body like in a sitting position, and then they opened the entire head. So it was established that she died from because her whole scalp got broken. The skull got broke from here to the ear. So that was where she died from. And then they had to bring the brain out. The brain has gotten swollen because it's still on. So it was really, really terrible for me. And the other one, I went to the market to buy food.
Before you go to the other one, how did you deal with the recurring imagery from this kind of scene after that incident? How did you cater for your own mental health beyond this horrific experience?
After that incident, I went home. The first thing I did was to go to the newsroom and write this story. Because the first thing, the cause of death was established. The next thing, they needed to establish whether she was sexually abused or not.
Okay.
Because mind you, the hospital has brought 3 different medical reports. The first medical report said she died from falling/sexual assault. The second medical report said she died from falling. So the third medical report, so there are a lot of conflicting reports. So the first thing I had to do was to go to the newsroom and write the story to be published the next day.
Okay. And you really had the presence of mind to be able to do the story shortly after seeing all those things?
Yes. After that, I had to write the story. And it was like, as I was writing, it was like I'm still seeing, because I had my notepad and my pen. You know, you don't enter with recording, with
That's
recorder
right.
rather. So I couldn't enter with recorder because I was not in as a journalist.
Yes, but as
I
a
was
family
in
member.
as a family.
Yes.
So what I did was, if the pathologist say anything that I don't understand, because he was using medical
terms.
Yeah, medical terms. So whenever he says anything that I don't understand, I can ask him, can you please spell it? And then he spelled it. Then I can ask him, can you explain? And then he was really patient with me. He's going to explain. I will write down.
But I'm curious. I'm curious now.
So I'm going to tell you what happened to me.
Okay.
So the first thing I needed to do was to report. Because that was why I was in the first place.
Yes.
So after I got through writing, it was like everything was still before me. I'm seeing like the doctors getting everything open, getting her in a sitting position, opening her head, everything. So it was like, after everything, for almost 2 months, I was seeing like it's still fresh, where he's still opening, or he's still cutting, because he has certain sharp tool that he used to open. So it's very sharp. As soon as they put it on the skin, you see tear down. So it's like I was still
It
imagining
was
this
playing
thing.
back.
It was like when you're watching the African show where they say somebody is thinking how they bring that play back. So
That's
it was
right.
still like fresh in my head. And I was looking at it like it was so terrible for me. It took time that it has to fade away by itself because I never had any help and I never had anyone to talk to. So it just kept with me until it can go away after a certain time. But at times when I'm lying down in a dark place, it's like I'm in a lab. So as soon as I'm alone, it's like I'm in a lab. But that was not really terrible as compared to my second encounter.
Okay.
My second encounter, I've gone to the market to buy food.
Okay.
Because I love cooking. So once I'm not working, I'm cooking. So when I went, I heard of people discussing. So they were saying one guy, he kept a child in the house without giving the child food and water, so the child turned to a living skeleton.
Really?
Yes. So they had that picture in the phone. So I asked them, can I see the picture? That was how they showed the picture to me. So I said, is this real? Because you don't have to be like a journalist. If you do, you will not know. They will not give you any location.
Yes.
So I had to behave like I'm confused, like this is. So I told them, is this true? They said, this is true. I said, where did it happen? So they said, if you go in here, there be one area they call Pamfan. When you go to Pamfan, you go on a beach, don't see around, you'll find a place. So I didn't buy my food again. I took the money and just got over my bag and left. When I went, by then they were bathing the kid. The kid was 11 years old. So in my person, when the guy that was bathing the kid, he put his hands in the child's mouth. Not only the child was hungry, he started to eat the mattress he was lying on and eating some plastic, so it got stuck in his throat.
Wow.
So he said, when the guy put his hands there and he took out the mattress and the plastic, the child said, I won't drink. That was how the child died.
Right in your presence?
So, in my presence. So I followed them to the funeral home. They put a child in a funeral home. They called the police. I followed to the police station. Everything. I got down my nose. Everything. And I left. When I left, I went to the office. As soon as I entered the office to take my computer from my bed, I went off. Yeah, that was terrible because I could see the child, like the child had no flesh, like the child was living even under their bed, it started to get rotting. It was looking green. That was really terrible for me. I was like, how can human beings behave like this?
Yeah, I can understand. Wow. Journalism is taking us to so many places.
It is.
And some of these experiences, sometimes it ends up even giving you your own share of the punishment at the end of the day.
Yeah, and what that is more interesting to journalism is everyone hates journalists. Everyone, they don't like journalists. But when they are in problem, they are looking for journalists because they want their voices to be heard.
That's true. When you disguise yourself, the information comes freely. When you show your identity, everybody begins to be cautious.
Yeah, they are conscious. And then they see people who are having issue with you. When they are in problem, they still look for journalists.
You are right. You're right.
So once there is one minister who is always against the press, and then he has this issue where they want to dismiss him, maybe wrongful or maybe it was something he did. The first thing he looks for radio station, newspaper to explain his side of the story.
What an irony.
Yes, that is how it is.
Yeah. Now let's move a little away from these graphic pictures. Let's talk about social media. Social media is doing its own thing as far as journalism is concerned. It is altering the course of journalism, or rather redefining how we do journalism. From where you sit, what has social media done to journalism?
I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
So there are a lot of things I usually tell myself and I tell other professional colleagues. There is no way social media can take over traditional media. That is not possible. Social media does not have gatekeeping. In journalism, we have. And what we do is we investigate. People just go on social media to do that live video to get our followers. But what we do is we investigate, we analyze stories, and then we follow ethics. Social media doesn't have all of these. And one of the challenging issues that social media has posed to our field is that it has made our work really, really difficult. That is where the issue of misinformation and disinformation come into play. So the widespread of misinformation and disinformation is because of the use of social media, where someone who doesn't have any ethical responsibility, they just sit anywhere and then just write anything and send it across social media. And then that is information disorder, because it gives the public difficulty in establishing what is true and what is not true. So with that, it becomes troublesome in elections. It becomes troublesome in helping the public understand policies. It becomes troublesome in making the public to know what development has been done. So that is where fast checker come in. And I can tell anybody, you don't have to be a journalist before you can be a fast checker. You should learn how to verify your own information. You should learn how to firstly look at the source of this information. There are some people who are always known for sharing misinformation. So they just share not even misinformation, because misinformation is where I don't know that this information is true and they are sharing. So disinformation, they just share disinformation for their personal benefits. So social media will never take over traditional media, and social media has made our work even more difficult. So we are clothed with the journalistic ethic to ensure that our public get verified, reliable, and credible information. So we have to go behind those information that are placed on social media to ensure that they are verified, safeguarded, and sent to the public.
Let's look at journalism. A lot of people are leaving. I'm sure you have colleagues or even seniors or juniors who have left the profession. Attrition in journalism is very, very high. From where you sit, what would you say is accounting for this high level of attrition? Why are people leaving?
So it was 2021 Press Freedom. Press Freedom, they are posted on my social media page. I said, I believe that the struggle of freedom of press is not external, it's internal. But we are missing it. You know why politicians do what they do to journalists? Because they know that we are not financially strong to follow our cases in the legal system. So until journalists can be financially free, we will always struggle with freedom of press. And that is where I can tell people, I say politicians are clever people. They know how to use things for their benefit.
Mhm.
So once they understand that there is struggle within the media, that is where they come in with their finances. So in that message, I say, it's difficult to tell a hungry man to be accountable or seriously,
That's right. Or to
to
be
be
ethical.
accountable or to be ethical.
Mhm.
So integrity, it comes when you have everything. Let's take for an example. I am a journalist. I
Mhm.
have my children. I have my
Mhm.
family.
Mhm.
And then my child is out for school fees. My wife or my husband, everyone who no one has eaten. And then I went to investigate this story. Then this politician is giving me $5,000
Mm.
not to report the story. It takes somebody with the will to refuse that money. The first thing you look at, you went home and then your child spoke to you the previous night that they put them out of school because they couldn't afford fees. And you are leaving the house, you didn't even leave anything there for that child to go to school. There is no food. So there are a lot of things you can take into consideration. I can tell you when I entered the field, it was not easy. It
Mm.
was really, really difficult. And because I was stubborn, so it was like I was 8 months into the field, they assigned me to the legislature.
Wow.
Yes. So I was among senators, lawmakers, people who playing with money, but
Mhm.
I never had anything. So I used to wear like one slipper every day and go. When I slipper cut, I was sweating. Till one time, one guy told me, you say you journalist, you can run after cattle, but you stay struggling, see your slipper on your phone. So I just laugh with it because I'm someone who doesn't take anything serious. The first
Yeah,
thing she was saying the truth.
that's right.
That's the first thing. The second thing, I know that I don't have money.
Mm-hmm.
So once you start to go to the honorable, hello, how are you doing? And I just need to speak to the journalist help. And then they gave you $50. They gave you $100. The next day when they see you, they are not going to respect you.
Yeah.
So that was what I never wanted.
Mm.
But then if you're telling the cow to not eat a fish, that a fish and not smell.
Hmm.
How can you tell journalists to be ethical when you cannot pay them?
Mm.
When they cannot even be able to take care of their family? So there are a lot of reasons why people leave the media. Some people are
Mm.
leaving the media not because they want to leave, but because there are better opportunities into public relations and other sectors. So
Yes.
what about us rebringing the entire media? If this is not working, what about us trying to change it to improve it? Why are we doing the same thing and expecting different results? Why
Mm.
can't we change it and get different results? So that is it.
Mm.
I can remember I had this investigative report I was
Mm.
investigating where a cousin raped his cousin, two cousins, the two brothers and sister children. They were living in the house, and then the boy is 21, the girl is 13. So they had this relationship going on, but it's rape because the girl is underage.
Mm.
And then she got pregnant. When she got
Wow.
impregnated, they wanted to, the mother first got angry, and then she took the case to the police station.
Mm.
Someone from the yard called me and told me because that person said that child was sexually abused in that same area, but they couldn't find anyone, so there was nowhere to take the case further.
Mm.
So she believed that it was that same guy who did the act.
Mm. Mm.
So this person called me to investigate this story. I
Mm.
had to go there as Muslim
Okay.
because the people in the other yard, they are Muslim.
Okay.
So I had to wear my hijab and always
Mm.
sit. So when they are having a family meeting, I would sit like I went to visit. Sometimes I would just wear the hijab to my face and I'll cover my entire face. and record everything. So I was recording everything till I reached a point where I had every information. What I needed was the perpetrator photo. That was just what I needed. So I went to the police station the very day I heard that, because my informant now working with them closely rather, follow them everywhere they go and send those information to me. So it was risky though. So when I went to the police station, I sat down, I asked the police, I said, one of my friends is coming to pick me up, but he said he lives around here. I should wait for him to the police station. Can I sit and wait? He said, yes, you can sit and wait. So I sat down. But then there was one police officer who was investigating that case. He's a very smart officer. Whenever he comes out, he will ask me, what are you still doing here? I said, I'm waiting for my friend. So like 4 different times he asked me. So the last time they were bringing the perpetrator, that was how I just ran, took a picture, and just shoved my phone in my clothes. That way no one can take it from me. So the police called me in, and when I identified myself, everything. That was how I asked him, because I knew everything. I was able to walk my way through and got the police charge sheet from him. How I got that, don't ask. So he said, if you have to give us something good. So they said, all Liberian journalists, once you call them and give them good money, they are going to kill the story. I was not there. So there, the person that was giving me the information, the person became very, very frustrated. So they said they were going to wait and see whether I would take the money and then kill the story. Then they were going to photograph me and send it to the public. So I didn't know whatsoever that was playing in my at my back. So in my absence. So when I went home, the call, I was like, how did you get my number? They said they got it from the police. They said they wanted to meet me. So I thought I would be at your home tomorrow. They said, do you know our place? I said, yeah, I'll be there. The next morning they saw me, they said, how did you know this place? I said, I'm a journalist. So they said, you know, this is a family thing. You know how Liberian way. This is a family thing, and we have decided to settle it a family way, and we are taking it from the court. So we want you to, this is, you are a journalist, or it's difficult, you know. They have to sweet talk you before they give you money, because they can tell you, so we want to bribe you to take it, you know. So they started to talk to me. I said, I became careful. I was afraid. I'm not trusting the person who gave me the information, because when it comes to money, people turn. So and again, I'm among family. They can do anything to me. No one will tell the story.
That's right.
So I was in between. I had to be smart to leave. So I asked them, I said, what is the amount you guys get? They said 98,000 Liberian dollars. Imagine that. Even my money, my 5 months salary cannot reach that money. Yes. So I told them, I said, but that money is small. Y'all make the money 150,000. Imagine the poor when they brought 140,000. New money in like this certain bag we call Ghana must go. I don't know how they call it.
Yeah.
They brought the money in that bag. So when I opened the money, I saw the money. I said, oh, y'all want me to take money so y'all can video record me and go play it? They said, no, we're not doing that. We want your help. I said, no, I can't touch your money. So I told her, I said, what I would do is I would leave from here and I would tell you guys where to leave the money to, where I will pick it up. Because I had to leave.
Yeah.
You can't say you are not taking the money.
That's right.
You don't know what they can do to you. And the funny thing, I'm not trusting the person who gave me the information anymore, because that person has already given me a whole lot of information. So if they have already taken side with the family, they will feel that I know more and they can do something to me.
That's right.
So I was not trusting the person that gave me the information. The person was not trusting me as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we were just in between. That was how I left. When I left, I went strictly to the newsroom and just completed, because I had the whole story. I just needed to add a few things. I just completed the whole file and sent it. So the next day, the police officer called. The police officer said, "Did you see the Daily Observer?" They said, "We saw it." They said, "No." They said, "You have to buy Daily Observer." When they buy Daily Observer, I said, "Oh," they called me, they said, "You published the story." I said, "Oh, the story published?" They said, I said, "I don't know how my editor published that story. I told him to hold the story." So the next call I got from the police, "Please come, we are taking a perpetrator to Monrovia Central Prison and turn the case over to the court so that you can watch us doing it, because we don't want anything to happen and then our police depot name will be included in your story." So that was how I went. I escorted him to the Monrovia Central Prison. I went, I did follow my story, and that was that. So imagine if I never had a will to refuse that money. That was really, really tempting. What they were offering could even go above my 6 month salary. It would do something good for me.
Yeah.
But now, what that happens is when you accept bribe from someone, you are not just accepting money. You are also selling your integrity. Because whenever there is an issue, and then someone say, "But Hannah has a story," they say, "Oh, call Hannah, you will give her something. She will kill that story." So what I think we should be able to differentiate between public relations and what is news.
Yeah.
If you want for somebody to write your promotional piece, you pay for it to write your promotional piece. But when it comes to professional investigation, it should be done properly. So
what would you in the line of duty these years, has there been any time that you have been threatened, your life has been threatened before, directly?
So two major ones. There are other
Okay.
smaller ones. Two major ones. So this guy, he was able to fix a fake degree
Okay.
and enter into the government, holding top positions. One at the Liberia DEA, where he served as Controller General. Imagine, for the Drug Enforcement Agency with fake
Controller
degree.
General for the Drug Enforcement Agency.
Yes.
Now that's a very sensitive position. How did they get such an imposter?
I don't know.
Wow.
And then the second, he resigned and then went to the Justice Ministry with that same fake degree. Mind you, the reason why he was accepted, he's a member of the ruling coalition for democratic change. They are taking over tomorrow. So when CDC won the election in 2017, these are people they brought. So because he was supporting the elections, of course, there was not much investigation done. So I didn't know when he was working with the Justice Enforcement Agency as Controller General. And then I got the information when he went at the Justice Ministry. So I got the documents, and then he has been expelled from the university, the United Methodist he has been expelled from the United Methodist University because he was trying to fake his graduation when the government won in 2018. So he wanted to graduate and get the government position.
Okay.
But then the school did some investigation. They expelled him from the school, and they expelled all those, they took all those instructors that aided him in the process. They took them out of the university. So when I wrote the university said they cannot speak to student records. But then I had those communications that they used. So I asked them to respond to the communications. They said they cannot respond to the communication. So I started to investigate. When I wrote the story, the next day the story was published. They asking to either resign or they will have to send him for further investigation.
Okay.
So he did resign. When he resigned, after 6 months, he went and beat another university system and appeared as graduate. So this is an interesting thing. His name is in the university souvenir, but his image is not there.
Okay.
So when he did the post, I'm not friendly with him on social media. Somebody sent the image to me strictly. So I started to do investigation. That was how I went to the university. When I went to the university that he graduated from, so I asked them. They said they are doing some investigation. They are not aware. So when I wrote the story the next day, this guy here says she's a pastor. So they called me. When they called, I didn't know they were the one calling. So I picked up the phone. I was in the newsroom. So I just, when I said, who said? She said, my name is Kokodu, my name is Kubo Boffer. I'm Kokodu's Boffer's wife. So I'm like, what is it? She said, I'm the one you have been writing about my husband. And you said my husband having fake degree. You didn't even call me. You didn't even start to ask. You just writing. And the way you're writing, if I see you, I will fight you physically, spiritually. I'm a pastor. I know what to do. So I just put my loudspeaker. I'm like, are you threatening me? You'll fight me physically, spiritually. Are you going to do that? So she said, you are damaging my family. So I can do anything to get you damaged as well. So the phone was on. When she got you talking, everybody that was in the news, they look at they listen to what she has to say, and then she went off. So the next day, I went back at the university. So when I went, I started to ask, and then that was how the university said they have no record that he has ever attended the university. So how can he say he's graduating with a degree in criminal justice? So that was how the university organized a press conference. They revoked his degree. That was one. Another one, this guy, he was the assistant director for operation at the Labrador Justice Enforcement Agency.
But I see.
He was expelled from the Justice Enforcement Agency by President Eddie Johnson Sirleaf because he has taken money from, that's another story, that's not the first story.
Yeah.
So he has taken money from people to protect them to sell drugs in the country. So when the investigation was done, President Sirleaf fired him from the government. So when this government came in, George Weah came in, they brought him. And then they make him top official. So he went, instead of him sitting, he felt like people were threatening him or people spoke about him. Because when the investigation was going on, they asked some people. So these people now, he started to target them. So since he's a top security personnel, no one was willing to like call me on the phone and give me information or so. So I just used to go and beat them. They send the information to my computer. They go, I don't know them. They don't know me. So I started to write that story. Imagine that kind of terrible guy. He was like looking for me. Interestingly, I was like too small back then because I was 21 years when I became a journalist.
Yeah.
So if someone doesn't tell you that is cool, you just going to feel like I'm just an ordinary person. So he was looking for me. He went to my office. I was in a field. He went to the office. he started to misbehave, like he started to talk how he would do some things to me. So he left one communication that he was reinstated. And the funny thing is, how will you say you were reinstated after this new government came into power? If you feel that you were investigated and you were reinstated, why the president expel you did not give you letter of reinstatement? Why is your reinstatement few weeks away from your appointment? So once I came back to the office, I said, everybody's like making fun because I'm a stubborn person. So everyone looking for ways like to make yeah, So they are like, you say you can talk in our like brain English. You say you can talk, you lucky you are not that guy was going to beat you today. This is the communication the guy left here. So I'm like, can I see the communication? They gave me the communication. So I went behind my computer and write another story. The headline was DA dismiss official reappointment racist Abra. So his own communication he brought, I did another story. So to call no matter sure, I went to the Justice Ministry to get information about him. So while coming from the Justice Ministry, he was going. But then I knew him, but he doesn't know me.
Oh, okay.
So when I saw him, he asked me, is the Justice Minister in? I said, yes. So I directed him. But I didn't go out. I went to the lady washroom and hid myself. Somebody told him, he said, but that's the guy. He said, Papa, he said, the girl I saw, she's a doctor. I said, that's the guy that is doing the story. So before he can run and go out, he checked everywhere. He didn't find me. He said, but she's gone. So they said, but that was her. As soon as he entered, I got out and I left. And after 4 months, I was writing constantly. After 4 months, those that were supporting the Justice Enforcement Agency, like brother said, they cannot work with him once he doesn't leave. So that was how personally I had to let him go. When he left, he went to visit my community chairman. So he said, this little girl has been writing on me. I don't know who is paying her. And she's been writing on me. I'm looking for her. I will do something to that girl. So my community chairman, our friend, and so my community chairman said, when he took the paper from here, and saw my name. So he's like, okay. So he didn't say anything when he came here. He saw me. He said, the way you can cook every day, you just keep cooking, because if you don't, I will show Sebastian your horse, and Sebastian gets will come and kill you, your horse, in the night, but you can't do that. Yeah, so yeah.
Okay. Let's look at two things. First of all, your golden memories. I mean, these years you've been around in the profession, what will you stick out as your golden memories? And then number two, I want to know if journalism for you is still dev do you part, or there will be a divorce along the line.
There are a few things I do accept as my golden moment in journalism. One, when I was awarded by the President of Liberia, as a young journalist, like being among a lot of top journalists, people who are still knowing the profession, people who, when I was in school, I used to listen to them speaking on the radio, people who inspired me. And some of them have not won any award yet.
Yeah.
And I was able to be awarded as the best health reporter of Liberia.
Wow.
That was really, really amazing. And another one is in 2020, I was sitting, not knowing whatsoever we do, people looking. I don't know people looking. So I was in the newsroom, I received a call. The call came, hello, Hannah? I was like, hello, Robert. He said, do you have a passport? I said, yes. He said, when your passport expires, so I showed him the time, everything. He said, okay, I'm going to call you back. So when he called, he said, can you send your passport copy? I said, yes. And I did, because this guy, he's a communication person at the U.S. Embassy. So he said, the U.S. elections is coming up. So every year, the U.S. Department of State sends journalists to participate in a foreign press reporting tour. So this year, we are selecting you to represent Liberia. That was something I was like, wow. Imagine from 2016, 17, 18, yes, I was like very new into the field. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. So even though the trip couldn't hold because of the COVID-19, but we did the process online. But at least that was something that tells me that whatsoever I do, there are people watching.
Yes.
And at least I did not do anything for it. I did not pay for it. I did not
apply for it or whatever.
I did not apply for it. So that was something that came as a reward. So it actually meant a lot to me. And for the issue about journalism, I'm currently pursuing a degree in journalism. I think I don't want to go to another field. That's why when I'm doing anything, even when I'm writing my story, I write it with care. Because this is where I want to be. This is where I think I can tell people's story. This is where I think the voice I did not have, I can give it to people. This is where I can help Liberia fight corruption and improve accountability. So that was why we joined hands to establish the stage media, where we will be able to fast check and provide credible information in the public's interest. There, we don't safeguard the reports. Once your reports meet all of the standards of journalism, we publish it. We don't have interest like, oh, this politician is our interest. This is the news policy. You don't publish this. No. Once your stories meet all of the journalistic standard, that is ABC, your story is published. And I think journalism is a unique field. It's somewhere that is fun. Like I can remember when I walked into the newsroom, but then I was the only female in the newsroom. So I can just look at this other guy and say, you have to enter that computer, leave the computer because I have the news story for tomorrow. So you have to give me the chance to write.
That's right.
So I can remember when I entered Daily Observer, because Daily Observer is the oldest newspaper in Liberia. And me just entering the media 2016, and I had the opportunity to work with Daily Observer in 2017 as the only female in the newsroom back then. It was a challenge. So after 2 days working with them, the third day I entered the newsroom. The editor asked me, Hannah, what do you have? I said, I have the news story for tomorrow. Like everyone started to laugh. So there was no space to write. I went to the layout room. I was able to write my story. And of course, the next day was a D story from PhD. So, so I think it's a word where we can be able to fight gender equality. We can break the gender gap. In Liberia, I believe that we need to fight more when we women want space at the table. Because somebody is not just for you to leave that space and give you it. You have to tell them that I deserve this, give it to me. And you take it. If they cannot give it, you have to take it. So if we want gender equality, we cannot keep escaping the media. We have to stay within and fight from within. So I started like one time, my editor said, why I didn't carry a story over the weekend, so he was suspending me. So I think I beg you, please increase the time, you go rest. After I didn't say he said it's 1 week, just make it 2 weeks. He said, you will have to come to work tomorrow. Because the funny thing is, I knew that he was not going to allow me to go. When there is protest, he has to call me. As soon there is protest, I was the one who covered all of those major riots. Those guys, they won't want to go because they don't want to get hurt. They said they are not getting much pay. But I was there. All of those major riots, like the June 7, I was at the June 7 protest. I was the Justina Taylor protest. One time the police guy even put the entire tear gas in my eye. He just sprayed my eyes. I couldn't even see. My friends came and helped me. So I told him, please increase the time, because of course I knew that he was not going to suspend me. So you have to get your own space, that someone cannot just tell you go. I told my boss, he said, journalism in Liberia, you have to. So I told him, I said, there is no way you can push journalists when you are not paying them. I could talk to my boss because I knew that they wanted my stories. They wanted my articles.
Yeah.
So you cannot just get it. You have to fight for it. That is what I do.
Okay. Now, my last two questions. First one, does journalism pay? And then second, will you support any calls to license journalists? For the sake of time, maybe let's do this in some 5 minutes and
Okay,
then we wrap
yes.
up.
Yes. It depends. When it comes to journalism paying, it depends. You have to be a creative journalist.
Yeah.
When waiting for your salary, you will not get it. But there are a lot of fellowships that you can apply for. They give you grant. You can be able to write your articles. Once you are a strong writer, people will support you. So there are a lot of money into journalism, but if you're waiting for it to come from your salary, no.
That's right.
The second one, I do believe that the entire journalistic profession should be regulated.
Okay.
Because anybody cannot just enter into the field and become a journalist. That's the reason why we have a lot of unethical people. In Africa, we don't have mentors. These are things we should have. Like me, I cannot rather point to this person and say this person is my mentor, except maybe I came to this place because I'm stubborn, like I just, and then somebody just started to help me, like, oh, maybe when I read 2 or 3 stories constantly, the editors, then I started to work with the editor. That is not my mentor. But right, when I graduated from the media school, I shouldn't have gone straight into the field. I should have been assigned to someone who will guide me. So the journalism profession is a very, very important aspect of the society. As such, we cannot just get everybody just in.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, once they damage the field, once they make them feel like anybody can just go there and do anything, there is no respect. Where is our ethics? So in Liberia, the government regulates media institutions. I think that should be given to the press union, or there should be a media council where if I, as a journalist, if I breach my ethical standard, I should appear before them and answer. If I'm found reliable, I should either be suspended or expelled from the field of journalism. But I think that is something that is like.
Let me pull the brakes here. This is interesting. It has been exciting and really revealing. Today I had a company all the way from India, a co-founder of the Stage Media, Liberia, Hannah and Geterminah. I hope I got it right.
Yes, that is it.
Right. Thank you. Right. Now, if you are in my kind of state of mind, you'll realize my guest is female, but her mindset is masculine. I mean, fiercely frontal and unyielding whenever she sets her mind up to do something. It is really that kind of temperament that you need in journalism to be able to break the ceiling where people are turning away. It is very important. Otherwise, you will just be another number in addition to the newsroom. But if you want to stand out, these are some of the unusual qualities you need to have. For a moment, I thought I was talking to Emil. I kept looking at the screen to be sure that who is this one that is so, so tough-minded like this. But that is the attitude, especially if you work in an environment where people will not accept that you as a journalist are mandated by the Constitution to perform a role. You will have to demand your space. And that's the kind of attitude you need. Thanks a lot for joining us, Hannah. I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you. It was nice being with you.
Right.
It's
And
always a pleasure being here.
we wish you all the best in your studies. We look forward to welcoming you back to Africa so that whatever you have.
In June, I will be done.
Oh,
July,
great.
August, I'll be back.
Oh, great. That means Liberia should start lacing its boots. Fresh fire, new dimensions altogether are coming. Now,
I've been working from
probably.
here.
Oh,
I've been
great.
working from here.
Oh,
When
great.
you check,
Oh,
I have a lot of articles. I've been really, really active. I talk to my sources constantly.
wonderful. We wish you all the best, and we pray that the remaining months will go very smoothly, and then by mid of this year, you'll be back to where you belong, to keep the fire burning. Right.
Thank you.
This has been Pens Down. Here, we talk journalism journeys. That's the only thing we do here. We connect journalists from every part of the world, and then we get them to tell us what they go through in the line of duty. We are grateful for your time. We'll be back next time with another edition, and then we'll have another colleague join us. We'll still be talking their journalism journey. Bye for now.